Hereby call the Brockton School Committee for March 16, 2021 to order, it being time. I'm going to ask that we please stand and salute our American flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could all stand, please. Take a moment of silence for a true Brockton champion, marvelous Marvin Hagler, who passed away unexpectedly at the age of 66. And our thoughts and prayers go to the Hagler family. May he rest in peace. Thank you. I just have to read the following to the minutes, if I could. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, which is Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. Pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from the open meeting law's requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate alternative means. This meeting tonight will be held and will be accessible to the public via Brockton Community Access, Brockton Public Schools website, which is www.bpsma.org, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 98. The public can also access this meeting via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. And of course, we always want to thank Mike Simmons and the team from Brockton Community Access for the televising. We also want to thank, of course, Melinda Campbell for all the work she does relative to that. I will do a roll call vote just to establish a quorum. Chair Sullivan is here. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Here.
Mrs. Mendez is absent this evening. Mr. Minicello.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Here.
And Mr. Sullivan on Zoom.
Here.
Thank you, Tim. We have established a quorum, and relative to the agenda item, tonight we have a pretty lengthy agenda, but we will go through it. Agenda 1 was calling the meeting. We do not have agenda number 2, which is hearing of visitors. There are none, so thus we can go on to agenda 3, which is the consent agenda, and it's subsections A through H. Is there a motion to take any out of order? Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Item D.
Item D is in dog?
Yes.
Okay. Any other to take out? Seeing none.
Sullivan has one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sullivan?
No, Sullivan has one. Item A. Item A.
A, yes. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any others? Seeing none. Mr. Sullivan, we'll go to you relative to agenda item A.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, Tuesday, March 10th, 2021, the bid review subcommittee took place. The meeting was called to order at 4:06 p.m. Present was Chair Tim Sullivan and Mark D'Agostino. Roll call for quorum was called. We had a quorum. Also, Governor Baker's open meeting law was read. Also present was Mike Bandis and Aldo Petronio, the CFO of Brockton Public Schools. The bids were reviewed and one was not accepted for being incomplete. The bid was a 5-year contract starting July 1st, 2021, ending June 30th, 2026. The bid went to Chartwells, who had a complete bid package with a $1.4 million guarantee to Brockton Public Schools, plus a $980,000 rebate as well. Motion was made by Mark D'Agostino to accept the bid from Chartwells and move it favorably to the full school committee, seconded by Tim Sullivan. Motion carried unanimously. Meeting adjourned by roll call ending at 4:20 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any members of the school committee have any questions relative to Mr. Sullivan's explanation? Seeing none, I'm going to entertain a motion relative to agenda item A under 3, consent agenda. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
Motion to approve item A.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. D'Agostino, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. We'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Ms. Azak.
Yes.
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. It passes.
Yes.
Thank you. A passes, and again, the approval of the bid review subcommittee meeting report, which was March 10th, 2021. We're going to go right now to Mr. D'Agostino, which was D, acceptance of February 23rd, 2021 policy subcommittee meeting report. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. On February 23rd, 2021, the policy subcommittee met. That's a committee of the whole, and all members were present. The agenda items for that night was a COVID-19 metrics update from Richard Herman, Dr. Richard Herman, rather, and then the committee went into executive session. We had other business and adjournment. So the doctor came, gave us a COVID update. At that point, it was pandemic day 347. The daily case rate, he announced, was down from on 2/9, 36.1, and on that day, 2/23, down to 20.9. Yeah, and then he showed the positive test rate for Brockton was also down as well. Hospitalization and death rates were trending downward. We talked about how many kids so far through February 23, 1,229. We talked about exposure sources and variant threats coming from other countries. There was comment and question by the members of the committee. And then we took item 4, other business, out of order. Then under other business, members of the committee, including the mayor, myself, and the superintendent, talked about the opening of school that day. We had come to the high school as well as some other schools, and we discussed conversations we had with both students and staff that were in. We thanked the facilities department for the work that they've been doing. Members of the committee also asked questions about the reopening. The committee at that time went into executive session and did not return into open session at the end of executive session. That is my policy subcommittee report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman. Any questions for Mr. D'Agostino? Seeing none, I'm going to entertain a motion relative to that matter. Is there a motion?
to approve.
Motion to approve the report.
Motion was made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Minicello. It was properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. I'll read the roll now. The Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. It passes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan. D passes. Now the matter comes before us relative to B, C, E, F, G, and H. B is the approval of the minutes, which is March 2, 2021, regular school committee meeting. C, acceptance of March 2, 2021, policy manual review subcommittee meeting report. E is the approval of the minutes, which is February 16, 2021, special school committee meeting. F, approval of minutes, February 9, 2021, regular school committee meeting. G, acceptance of notifications, personnel appointments, non-certified personnel. And H is the acceptance of notification, personnel action, leaves of absences, resignations, and retirements. Is there a matter relative to, is there a motion relative to those matters?
Motion to approve.
Motion,
Second.
is there a second? The motion was made by Mrs. Sullivan. It was properly seconded by the Vice Chair, Mr. D'Agostino. I'll read the roll. Sullivan, Chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
That passes. B, C, E, F, G, and H has been passed. We will now go on to agenda item 4, which is the report of the superintendent of schools, Mike Thomas. And before I have Mike give the superintendent the floor, just want to let you know, relative to Dr. Richard Herman, FACEP pandemic consultant, his metrics updates, he's unfortunately out of the state. I did speak to Dr. Herman today. He wanted me to, first of all, say he's sorry he couldn't be here, but a family matter took him out of state. In terms of the metrics that the doctor gave me, first of all, we did report 21 new cases today, citywide. We are at 12,258 total cases. We are up to 413 deaths. We lost one since yesterday, so we're up 413 loss of life in Brockton. Our current active positive cases are 178, which is really trending in the right direction. Our average daily confirmed case rate is 20.0, and then our positive test rate, which is really great, we're under 4, we're at 3.43%, which keeps us in a yellow classification for the week, which is awesome news. Also, just want to let you know that the VA hospital, Good Samaritan Medical Center, Brockton Signature, all of their census numbers, meaning members of patients in the hospital, are down as well. And people in the ICU, very, very marginal numbers. So things are starting to trend in the right direction. Mr. Superintendent.
I'm going to move over to the podium, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
You hear me all right? Mike, you good? Not yet? All right, so I wanted to, first we're going to start with just an update on how we opened in hybrid. I'll start, I want to just start because I spent time at the Huntington, the Key Center, and working closely with Jay Lanner, Cindy Burns, and their administrative teams on the great job they have done coming back as the Huntington School came back with 100% 4 days, and the Key Center came back at 50% cohort, and we've revisited the Key Center with the mayor and Mr. DiAugustino. I visited the Huntington, and I just want to commend the staff and the administrative teams at both those schools for a great opening. And I'll tell you a quick story. There was a student that is homeless that lives in a shelter. I think it's in Fall River. And her in-day, it was supposed to be her first day in, and she was dying to come back to school, and she's been working closely with the staff there. She loves school, and it's a very tough situation that she's in. And the van was on the way to get her, and the van stopped for gas, and as the driver was rolling up his window, it shattered. And that day was 2 weeks ago, and I think it was about 8 degrees outside. So the van couldn't continue. So Principal Burns, Assistant Principal England, and Associate Principal Dr. Connors, with the team and the staff at the Keith, her teachers, her counselors came forward and said, we have to do something to get her to school. It was about 9:30 at that time. So with their advocacy, we were able to get a van company, go out, pick the student up so she could come to school for the first time in a year. So that's the kind of dedication that the staff shows. Because that's, and even though it was about an hour and a half late for school, just her being there was so important, to be there just for a few hours. And she's been, again, back ever since in the 50%. But again, that's how our staff goes above and beyond and how much they care about their kids. So I want to thank them for that. I also want to, I believe Dr. Cobbs is with us on the Zoom. I know he is. He's doing Edison Academy, so he might still be there, but I was going to have him give us just an update. He might be, he's got school going on at Edison. So, Dr. Murray, you there?
Yes. I'm
There he
here
is.
as Mike Thomas, though, on your screen, unfortunately.
Oh, that's all right. That's good.
I'm an older, grayer version of you tonight.
I had to use Dr. Murray's laptop, and I changed the name because I had to do an interview on his laptop because I was visiting the high school, and I changed the name, and Dr. Murray doesn't know how to change it back. Oh, now he does. All right, good.
It's not, I don't want to.
So, Dr. Murray, if you could just give an update. Again, today was the first day we brought our 11th and 12th graders back, and just an update on how things have been going at Brockton High School.
Well, first of all, it's just great to have students back in the building. and we had some great experiences, especially with our freshmen and sophomores the last 2 weeks. Today, the building actually, for moments, felt like normal, with students in the hallways, students in pretty much all of our classrooms to a certain extent, and numbers with regards to kids in the cafeteria. When we had lunch today, it was nice to actually see the cafeterias with students in the meeting. We had about 600 students today. Orange 1, which is our Tuesday cohort, is typically our smallest, and we've been trending kind of right along with the numbers. Friday, our Green 2 is typically our biggest cohort, so we're expecting more around the lines of 800 to 900 students on Friday. So it's been a great experience. The staff has been fantastic. We have teachers pitching in, making sure that work areas are wiped down, students getting directions. We haven't had any issues with masks or social distancing. The kids have been great. The staff has been great. Our custodians constantly on the move, cleaning surfaces that are touch door handles, the metal things in the doors. Really, it's just been a great team effort. Really proud of the entire building, the teachers, the custodians, and especially our kids. They've been great so far.
Any questions for Dr. Murray? Next, I just want to say, by our next meeting in April, we'll have we have some video tonight that we'll show you, but we also want to have our middle schools, the Key Center, put some video presentations together of just kids returning to school, and we'll have that for you the first meeting of April. I just want to say I've been at every middle school, and again, what's going on there, same thing. They welcomed the 6th graders back 2 weeks ago. Last week they welcomed the 7th and 8th graders. So this week they have all 3 grades. Is the first week all 3 grades are together. And last week was the week all 3 grades are together. So I want to thank again the middle school principals, their team, their teachers, how much they're doing. You go around the buildings, the balloons, the music, the welcome back, meeting students with signs out in the parking lots. It's just, again, talking to parents, making people feel good, and we really appreciate all their hard work. Mr. Minicello.
Superintendent, could you ask Dr. Murray to just tell us what the atmosphere is at the high school with both students and staff these days?
Sure. Dr. Murray, did you hear that?
Not all of it. Something about
just
the atmosphere.
Yes.
Well, I think it's interesting when we started talking with students when they first started returning. A bunch had said that they were a little hesitant to come, but they were so excited when they got back. The teachers really made them feel welcome. They were very excited, and we're actually starting to see students changing their minds about staying remote. And even though it's only 1 day a week to start, students are coming in. So to me, it seems very positive. Everybody seems pretty relaxed. I think those first couple of days, I was probably the most tense person in the building, but the students have really embraced what we're trying to do there. The staff has been fabulous. Parents, super cooperative. So it really is it's nice. It's fun. You get to do what we're in education for, which is to work with our students, and everybody seems to be really looking forward to getting back to normal, bringing more students back as soon as we can.
Excellent.
So do we have, before we go to June, Laurie Mason, you still with us?
Yes.
Hi, Laurie.
Hi, how are you guys?
Just give us an update on how things are going for our students with disabilities.
And can you ask her the same question about the atmosphere?
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're very excited that the students are going to, hopefully come back soon, 100%. We do have, I think, Mr. Sullivan, you had asked me last time I was here about the percentage of students staying remote. So that varies. It's about 12%, between 12 and 14% of the total number of students, high need students. but each day we're making changes to having kids come in or stay home. And I think once we look at, 5 days a week, the numbers may increase, but it's been great. The kids are excited to be in school. And I think when they're home and they're, on the computer with their teacher or their assistant, and they're seeing other kids, they get very excited about being back, wanting to be back in school. Transportation's been great. We've had, kids are wearing the mask. I've been, as Mr. Thomas said, I've been in mostly all the schools too, visiting the teachers and the students. And the kids are, I'm surprised, I have to say, most kids are wearing masks. And if they don't have a mask on, they have a shield, and they're, separated in the, back of the classroom. So they're, doing their 6 feet of social distancing. But the kids are engaging and they're excited. And last week when it was really nice out, I think kids got really excited because when I went to schools, kids were outside, which was great to see that too. But it looks great. It's really great to see the kids back.
And Laurie, Mr. Minicello, same question about, the atmosphere inside the classrooms.
Oh, I mean, you go into the classroom, which again, Mr. Thomas, thank you for allowing me to do that. It's great to see how excited the kids are. And some of the kids, they don't miss a beat. They're sitting down. I come in and I'm trying to talk to the kids and they're like, we're in class right now, and they'll just continue doing their work. But the teachers are excited. The staff is excited. You see, I walked down the hall and you're seeing gen ed teachers with some of their students and the principals, and everyone's really upbeat and welcoming. And I think they're just so excited to be back. It's been a year. It's been a year for a lot of our students. And I think I said last time I was here, I think it was the way we did it was the right way. It allowed us to transition our students in, provide them some stability and working on their schedules and making sure they know how to ride a van and getting them into the classrooms. And we did it the right way. And I'm really excited that the kids are there. But it's great.
Any other questions for Laurie? Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you.
And I want to say that, again, the atmosphere, and you walk around, and it's just the excitement of the teachers, the staff, the support staff, everyone. Everybody's welcoming students in. Food service workers, custodians, and again, all our teachers and counselors and our paras and MTAs. It's just, everybody has been great. You see the custodians out at crossing guard duty, talking to the students as they're coming in. It's a great atmosphere inside and outside the schools. I'll tell you a quick story before we move to June. I also want to thank Sharon Wolder and John Snellgrove for the work that they've done with our adjustment counselors, and with the work that has been done with Kathy Ledger and the guidance counselors at the middle school and at the high school. They have spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and they've put in a ton of work together in PD, getting ready, not only what they've done, which has been an amazing job, as students were remote and providing social, emotional, and service in their social, emotional needs, but getting ready, working with staff, working with students around the social, emotional well-being. They've done a great job, and again, that has helped us have such a great welcoming environment for the students. So a quick story before I go to June. I've been in most schools. There's, I think, only a few left I have to get into. I was at the Gilmore, and I was walking around. I went into a first grade classroom, and there was about 6 students, and they were excited to be in school. And I asked, everybody excited to be here? And they all yelled, yeah, you're like a superstar when you walk into those rooms. And a little first grade boy called me over to his desk, and I leaned down. He had his mask on. I had my mask on, and I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Can I tell you something?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "It was my dream to be here today." And then my eyes filled up with tears, and I had to kind of hide my face so the kids didn't see me cry. But that just told you the whole story about how kids were feeling coming back to school. So, June, I believe you're with us. There she is, sharing her screen.
Can you see my screen? Hello?
We can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, that is wonderful news.
You're not going to show
Always so
pictures, of the
anxiety
family
producing.
pictures, are you?
So,
Okay.
so Superintendent, I heard there was another
right, good.
story at the Gilmore as well, something about a cat. Did somebody ask you to act out a cat?
What, I had to act like a cat? Yeah, I did have to act like, yeah, you're right. I
Yes,
had to do a cat
I
dance.
did hear that story.
They made me, no, they didn't tape it. But I did have to do a cat dance at the Gilmore that they were doing, I think, in kindergarten.
So I'm happy to be able to, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be able to report to you that all of the intensive efforts of all of us, everyone in the Brockton Public Schools, our faculty, and when I say that, I really mean the entire Brockton Public Schools community, including this committee, has the work that's been done is what, has led to what our elementary folks are calling a series of successful first days. And I've heard that numerous different times. I hear staff and students referring to having that same sense of excitement or first day butterflies. And for some of our teachers, that's been going on for 12 consecutive days. So it's a series of first days. So we do have some photos to share with you. You can see here some photos from the Arnone School. And then I want to say that this looks like the Baker, and I happened to be in line this past Friday with a 4th grade teacher from the Baker School, and she was talking about the kids returning to school and how excited she was to see them. And one of the things that she said that really struck me was that she has been looking and talking at the kids and looking at them on screen for so long that when they walked in, even with their masks on, she was able to recognize them right away by their eyes, and she could recognize their voices. Another principal talked about how students saw her when a few students saw her in person for the first time. They were so excited that she was the person they saw in the video every single morning. And so for them, it was like, they were finally in this real life atmosphere. And just overwhelmingly, our staff and students, they have been, I want to say, I don't want to overstate it, but exhilarated to be back in school, even if it's only one day a week. So and so here's some photos from the Davis. And here's the George School students, again, giving us a big thumbs up. I think that really demonstrates how thrilled everybody is to be back to school. And as the superintendent mentioned, he went to the Gilmore. You can see there's these two are sisters, super excited to be back. The kids are out there in the playground. They're all wearing their masks, excited to be back in school. And then when you think about if the kids are happy to be back in school, I think this.
I couldn't sleep at night forever.
Why?
Because my mom was like talking to the phone. I couldn't sleep, so I was like, let's play a little bit. Then my mom started to play. Then she said to go to sleep, and I'm still not tired. And I was so excited for school. Then I go to sleep.
So there's a little one who was so excited. Again, that's an example of students so excited the day before the first day they can't go to sleep. And then we have one more quick video clip to share with you. And again, demonstrates the excitement of the kids being back in school.
Go. Gilmore students are problem solvers. We always have a plan. We think we solve. Our motto is we can. We think before we act. Show respect to all. And take our good choices. Pride for one and all. We are Gilmore scholars.
And so that was the first day of school. So you can see that even though that particular student hadn't been physically in school, that was his first day of school, and he already knew that Scholars Pledge to Learn. He was ready to share it with his classmates and with his teachers. He was super excited to be there. And so again, like thinking about us moving forward to 100% in-person learning, We know that it's going to make a tremendous difference for our students, and that I think from the very beginning we all recognize that nothing can replace in-person learning, and it really is where the kids need to be. And so we're looking forward to having everyone back. So
Any
thank you.
questions? Mr. Minicello?
Good evening, Ms. Saber. How are you?
Good evening. How are you, Mr.
I'm good.
Minicello?
What school is the last child from?
This one right, the Scholars Pledge to Learn.
Yes, with the blue shirt and the
That's
tan.
that's a Huntington School student.
Is that a school uniform?
What's that?
Was that a school uniform?
That is a school uniform, yes.
Okay. Well, looking at those children just shows you why we all know that the kids do best in front of a Brockton Public School teacher in person. Point made. Secondly, the school uniform. I just like to point out that that basically takes away. That child looks nice and crisp and fresh, and just takes away all the social pressure with regard to the latest and greatest in styles and expensive brand names. I just think that's wonderful, and it's great to see the students back. But also just point out that the school uniform, basically takes all that pressure, I think, off of parents and off of students, to compete with one another, and what's going on in the schools is learning, as opposed to who has the the in style this or the in style that. When I was back in high school here, if you didn't have an alligator shirt and Levi's and Nike sneakers, we weren't cool, So, but whatever. I just think that's great. That student looks wonderful, and I'm glad that they're all happy. Those that are back to be experiencing the in-person teaching. Thank
A
you, Ms.
velour,
Saber.
Mr.
Thank you. I just
Minicello. When
wanna
we were in the
say
80s,
that
it
it's
was a
been brought to
velour
my attention
shirt.
that I may have referred to the kids as Huntington students. These are Gilmore students. That's my age showing right there. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay.
Yes, this is the Gilmore School, not the Huntington School.
Well, thank you for the report. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so next time we'll have Jess is in the middle of putting together a large presentation of videos that we'll gather. It just obviously takes a while, and now that we're planning on our in-person return plan, we figured we'd save that for the meeting in April. So that will move us to the next agenda item, which is the DESE guidance on in-person learning in the student learning time. And school committee, I know this was done at the policy meeting, but it's important that we do it again at the full school committee meeting, so everybody understands our plan with coming back to full in-person learning 5 days a week. We'll go through this again, but we also want parents at home to know that a message will go out to them tomorrow, explaining all this information, and also notices will go home from schools, like we always do, informing them every step of the way before we get to April 5th. So going over this, again, this was in policy, but it's important to do it again, that the Massachusetts Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted on Friday the 5th to give Commissioner Riley the authority to determine when hybrid and remote models will no longer count towards student learning time hours. So the commissioner went on, and he had a meeting with us last week as superintendents, and the guidance came out that hybrid and remote learning will no longer count towards student learning time hours unless parents choose to keep their students remote. For elementary schools, they need to be back full in person 5 days a week, and that's for us would be pre-K to 5 on April 5th. That's what the requirements say. And for middle schools, that would start, and for us, that's grades 6, 7, and 8 on Wednesday, April 28th. A determination for high schools will be made probably early in April. That guidance for high schools return for full in person has not come out yet. The DESE is allowing a waiver process, especially for districts like ours who've been fully remote for most of the year. The waiver for elementary schools needs to be submitted by Monday, March 22nd, If you want a waiver for middle schools, that has to be submitted by Monday, April 12th. And again, you have to have a phase-in plan, a clear phase-in plan, and again, we'll go over that in the slides to come. And then we would get a response within 5 business days from the Department of Education, letting us know if our waiver was approved. So here's our plan. And again, I want to make it clear that this information will also be on our website, and also this information will be provided to families in more detail tomorrow, so everybody's clear on the dates. So we would submit a waiver. We don't have to submit a waiver for the middle school, so the waiver will be for pre-K to 5, which would basically, we need some time, especially for the lunches. And we're asking for a 2-week delay to delay the 5th, to have it on April 26th. It's a 3-week delay, but one of those weeks is vacation week. So we're getting tents for all schools, large tents, circus-sized tents to allow for students to eat. We have to maintain the 6 feet of social distancing for eating, because students obviously take their masks off. So we'll need outside space, and also that outside space during lunch hours could also be used as classroom space. However, our separate classrooms would transition to full 5 days in person starting on Monday, April 5th. And also on the 5th, all schools pre-K to 12 will transition to 50% in person. And then on April 26th, pre-K to 8, all elementary schools and middle schools will start full-time in person 5 days a week on April 26th, which is the Monday after April vacation. And that's what we'll ask. So we'll be asking the state for a 2-week waiver. Again, it's 3 weeks, but one of the weeks is vacation, to allow us to start the full in-time learning for 5 days a week on April 26th for pre-K to 8th grade, elementary and middle school. A decision for high school will be made whenever the guidance comes out, and we'll obviously vet that out here with the committee. So we do want to move to 50% on April 5th. So for the rest of March, this week and for the next 2 weeks of March, we will continue what we're doing now. And then effective Monday, April 5th, the Orange 1 and Orange 2 cohorts will become one, will be the Orange group. Green 1 and Green 2 cohorts will combine and become the Green group. And these groups will alternate on the Mondays. So, and again, I hope my eyes can see. So Orange 1, the Orange group will come, Orange 1 and Orange 2 will combine, so Orange group will come to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But that first Monday, April 5th, that group will be in school 3 days. And again, parents, you will get this in detailed information. And it will all come out to you. And it'll be on our website, and it will also be shared to you in phone calls. And then Green 1 and Green 2 become Green group. We'll go to schools on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then on the April 12th, they'll be in school 3 days. So we're rotating that. We're back using that Monday, which was a half day, and teachers would do PD. Those Mondays for the first 2 weeks of April will be used as in-person learning days. So a cohort would get 3 days in person 1 week, and then the next week they'd get 2 days. The following week they'd get 3 days. So that's the plan with the 50%. The 50% will have to continue with the high school past the vacation. The 50% won't continue for elementary and middle school. You know, that's only for 2 weeks for them, because then they'll be going full in person on Monday, the 26th of April. So full remote learning will remain an option for families if they want to stay fully remote or move to fully remote. However, if a family wants to move from fully remote, when we come back at 100%, if a family wants to move their child back into school in person, it's going to take some time to get that child back in school. They will have to stay fully remote until we have to see if we have to make changes for class size, because now we're moving from 6 feet of distance in the classroom to 3 feet. And also, we're going from needing 35 buses to 52 buses, so it's going to take some time for families to switch to in-person. You can switch immediately to full remote, but coming back, we're going to need some time to plan. The Department of Ed says to allow up to 6 weeks. I think that's kind of over the top. We're saying 4, and hope we could cut that down to 2. The Department of Ed and we want to discourage people going back and forth. You're in, you're out. You really have to make a commitment. We will be sending out a survey either tomorrow night or Thursday morning asking for that commitment, whether you're going to come in full on the 26th or you're going to stay full remote. So the current options for the high school students will stay hybrid and remote learning. Those will stay until we get the guidance from the Department of Education. Effective on April 26th for pre-K to 8, which is the Monday after the vacation, you can only choose either full in-person or full remote. There's no more hybrid model. So that would be the choice for pre-K to 8, and again, guidance will come out for high school. Distancing for full person in-school learning is 3 feet between from the edge of the seat to the edge of the seat. Lunch needs to remain at 6 feet. That's why we need tents and to go outside for students to eat outside, because otherwise we would be serving lunches from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because obviously we don't have enough room in cafeterias to feed all students in a regular 3-period lunch period. So lunch we made at 6 feet, and again, we'll have students outside to eat, and hopefully the weather after the vacation will be a lot nicer. And then buses would also move to 2 students per seat. And another reason for the delay is we also need time for our bus drivers to call back. Remember, this guidance just came out last week of the full in-person. So we need time to move from 35 to 52 buses. That takes time for the bus companies to call their drivers back from other locations they're driving in. It also gives them time to hire and train new people, so we can get those buses rolling to get students to school. And again, there's only 2 per seat now. I mean, used to sometimes some buses were crowded. There were 3 to a seat, which we didn't want to do. So right now we should be 2 to seat, and the windows have to be open. And then the Department of Ed wanted us to share this data with you. So after the study of Massachusetts schools over from when we opened on September 16th, for the schools that have been in person, some schools using 3 feet, some at distance in classrooms, some using 6, and the studies have shown that there has been no real significant difference between the positive cases of COVID. It's pretty much stayed the same whether you were at 6 feet or 3 feet of social distancing. This is for classrooms. This is not for cafeterias. Cafeterias need to remain at 6 feet of social distancing, and anytime there's a mass break, the students have to be 6 feet apart. So I can take any questions, and again, all this information will be provided in detail to parents. It will be on our website. Jess will text out the information. A phone call will go out. And obviously, as always, schools will communicate all of this information once it's voted on tonight by the committee. This plan will be put on our website and clearly explained to parents. And as always, we encourage any parent that has any questions about the return to full in-person learning plan to please call their school.
I know this information has been provided to the school committee earlier this evening. For those of you who have not, were not tuned in to the policy subcommittee meeting, you missed a good meeting, but secondly, Mr. Thomas, could you just, one of the main questions that came out of that meeting was, whether a student who decides to stay remote whether those credits and the work that they perform remote, even though the state makes a determination that school systems have to have full operations going by a date certain, will those students who decide, and parents decide to have their students stay remote, be credited for the work and earn the credits for graduation of that particular grade level?
Absolutely. Yep. Even though the department is requiring districts to come back full 5 days, they are leaving the option open to families that still do not feel comfortable sending their children back, or if there's medical issues, obviously, we will accommodate those families, and their classes have to count, their grades have to count, and credits. So students would not be losing anything as far as that goes with deciding to stay full remote.
Thank you. I know we're repeating ourselves from the earlier meeting, but for those who were working and couldn't, listen earlier.
Absolutely.
They should know this. So thank you.
I also want to say that, I appreciate the hard work of the executive team, our principals, and I also appreciate the partnership with our union president, also with Kim Gibson, the BEA president. Again, I'll say this, and I probably say it till I'm blue in the face, is that there are horror stories of around the state of relationships with school committees and unions and superintendents, and unions and superintendents with their school committees, and I just think that we've set the example for cooperation, and Kim and her teachers, and again, all union presidents with all the support staff have gone above and beyond, and they're always, it's for the kids, and these plans again have been shared with with Kim, and there's been no pushback, and she keeps her members informed, and I just want to thank the executive team for working closely with our principals and administrative staff to make sure the schools are getting what they need as far as their schedules, PPE, Aldo making sure there's money from the PPE to buy what schools need to make sure everybody's safe, and again, Sharon with the social emotional support with the staff, and Cliff and Dr. Cobb's working in June working with schedules, Cliff working with schedules, working with the middle school, obviously running a large high school, Dr. Cobb's the principal of Edison Academy, also running all the operations, and that's transportation, that's PPE, that's facilities, and then June working with all the schools around the curriculum, the not only for now that we're in person, remote, and juggling that and working with all the schedules, making sure that they've worked not only for remote to hybrid, now to full in person. So that all has to coincide as well. So, and I just want to thank the reopening committee, which was the district design team, who's been working on this since last May. We've worked as a team along with the school committee to come up with plans. We had these plans have been in place. We needed to come up with 3 plans: full remote, hybrid, and full in person. And because these plans were put in last summer, we're ready to go. I know we're asking for a delay, but again, that's for, that was just announced last week. We have to make sure we do everything safely. It's important to have those tents in place. It's important so students can get outside, and we can have students eat safely, and we can also have students transported safely in the, getting the extra buses. So that's where we are. So I appreciate the school committee taking this plan into consideration and allowing me to move forward with applying to the Department of Ed for a waiver.
Thank you very much, Mr. Superintendent. Any questions from the school committee members relative to what the superintendent just... Mr. D'Agostino, followed by Mrs. Sullivan, please.
Yeah, just kind of echoing the superintendent's comments. I think when we think back to just over a year ago, when the three of us had the first conversation about having to close schools and figure out what this thing was, the community, including teachers, parents, students, the staff, this committee, I mean, this community's really come together in every possible way. Our partners in our bargaining units, police, fire. I mean, everybody really came together as a community to figure this out, and we've had to pivot several different times, and as the situation changed, and as you all know, the situation was fluid and sometimes went in a way we didn't expect. But I just have to say that I think everybody deserves some credit for the way that just the city and everybody involved in the district and parents and the kids just adapted and pivoted as needed through this really difficult time. As far as this item, I can do a report of the policy meeting from earlier when we get to unfinished, and we can get that done. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Exton. Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just wanted to ask the superintendent on the school adjustment counselors. Do you think we're in good shape with school adjustment counselors for kids coming back that have lived through a pandemic and the kind of problems that kids would, have to deal with once coming back? And I know over the years we've had to cut some of those.
Yeah, so right now we are back to, we weren't able to get the 13 extras we were applying for last year. We have added a few. I think Sharon Wold is with us, and she can fill you in on that. Her and John also work with Mobile Crisis, who actually met with our principals, associate principals, and assistant principals 2 weeks ago to talk about the services that they provide for schools and the communities and the community and the family. So, Sharon, are you on with us?
Yes.
Yes, she is. If you could just go over and just address Mrs. Sullivan's question about what the adjustment counselors have been doing to be ready for these in-person days and to support our students.
The adjustment counselors, as you know, have been working right along with families, and as we've learned, anyone who has experienced a trauma beyond the collective trauma that we've all experienced through the pandemic, where there were specific needs, the adjustment counselors have been incredible at connecting with families, getting resources to families, supporting families. They have continued to meet with students while we're remote. So they were coming back with kids coming back into the building. They have kids that they've been working with all along, making sure that they're checking in and providing connections within the school. So if there are people who are seeing kids struggling with the difference in the climate of the school because of the social distancing and the things that we have to do to maintain safety, they are fully aware and supportive of that work. And so where we have a couple of schools who are still have fewer school adjustment counselors than others, we're in the process. As you know, we have 5 positions that we are in the process of filling. And so a few weeks ago, we were able to put the job ad out, and we have collected some resumes working with principals of those schools that are getting additional counselors to get people hired and in place so that the counselors that we currently have will have additional help in those places. We also have worked really well with our mentors. We have Brockton Public Schools mentors, and we partner with Champion City. And they have been really a strong support for the schools and the families, making connection at houses where schools have had some concerns. And so they've done a lot of home visits, connecting families back to the schools, supporting students who are struggling to stay connected to remote learning and stay motivated about that. And so we have and they work really well with the adjustment counselors as well. So putting that team of supports in place, both the school adjustment counselors and the mentors, we have provided a lot of support and service for students and families. And if any family is listening to this and they feel that their child coming back to school may need a little more support and assistance, we really encourage them to reach out to the school because that support is there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any additional questions from any members of the committee? Superintendent?
Okay, next we have Mr. Petroni. You want to step up for just a quick update on the FY22 budget? And Mr. DiAugustino, if you want to, I think that time you can share what the motion was at the subcommittee for the advertising positions when Mr. Petronio's. Thank you.
Good evening. As I reported earlier this evening, the Student Opportunity Act, along with the Chapter 70 fund increase, brought in a net of about $18 million into our budget for next year, which is wonderful news. This will be the first time we're facing a school budget in probably a decade where we've had some funds that we can actually do something new with. The funds are intended to, reach out in areas that we've been lacking in all these years, which the Student Opportunity Act focused on, which is special education, English language learners, health insurance costs and coverage, and our low income, our children in poverty. So these funds will be earmarked and geared towards those areas so that we can improve those and in turn improve our scores. We've just started the budget process. The governor has given his budget, which is where this increase came from. In a few weeks, we'll have a House of Representatives figure. That gives us a good indication of where the budget is heading. Usually the House and Senate are pretty close to one another, then it goes to the Compromise Committee. So we should have a good planning year this year for our budget going forward. That's the first time I think we've been able to really feel that way. Last year was great too, but then the pandemic hit. That changed the direction of everything. But at this point, we know how to handle a pandemic. So I think going forward, we're in great shape.
Any questions for Mr. Petronio from any members of the committee? Thank you, Aldo.
Sure.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Mark D'Agostino, please.
I got it. Do you want me to do that now, or? As well.
Yeah, you could just give a summary, and then you could discuss the motion that was made in the subcommittee.
Sounds good. All right, so earlier this evening, March 16th, the Finance Subcommittee met. We had a similar presentation from Mr. Petronio, and the Finance Subcommittee did take an issue from the superintendent. He requested the authority to start to post positions, and so we could start to get resumes in and start to have some candidates. These positions would say subject to funding, and as the number of positions and which positions and the funding of those positions will be still to be approved by the committee, but this will give the superintendent the opportunity to start to get some candidates in the door. The Finance Committee voted unanimously in favor of recommending to the full committee to grant the superintendent that authority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. That's it for the report of the superintendent. I don't know if you want me to.
Yeah, do we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the matter comes before us now relative to what the Mr. Vice Chairman just summarized from the subcommittee. I'll entertain a motion on the floor of the full committee.
Motion to approve the finance report provided by Vice Chair Mark D'Agostino.
So motion made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion was made. Motion was made by Mr. Minichiello. It was seconded by Ms. Azak. I'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minichiello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
affirmative. Thank you, Tim. It's affirmative. It hereby passes. And now, relative to subsection B of Agenda 4, do we have any items to refer to subcommittee? I don't believe we do, right?
No.
Okay. Now we go on to number 5, which is unfinished business on the agenda. Mr. Vice Chairman, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 items under unfinished business. Again, a finance report. The Finance Subcommittee there was a meeting held Tuesday, March 9th of 2021. I'm just looking for warmer weather, that's all. Agenda item number 1 was the lease of general warehouse space. Mr. Petronio, the Brockton Public Schools CFO, discussed the bid for the warehouse space with a 5-year lease agreement. Mr. Sullivan motioned to move the warehouse space favorable to the full school committee and full allocation to come out of the non-net spending of the school department. Seconded by Mr. Minicello. There was a roll call vote, and the motion or the recommendation to the full committee passed unanimously. So we would need a motion to accept that for the full committee.
A motion on the floor relative to the matter that Mr. Vice Chairman just stipulated. Entertain a
Motion to approve.
Mr. Minicello made a motion. Is there a second to that?
Second?
Second. Thank you,
Motion
Mrs.
to approve
Sullivan.
as presented.
As presented. Motion on the floor by Mr. Minicello is properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. Thank you. I'll read the roll. Sullivan, Chair says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. It passes unanimously. Mark, you had another matter?
I do have another matter for the committee. The policy subcommittee met earlier this evening and heard the same presentation that the public and the full committee just saw. And it was a favorable recommendation by the policy subcommittee, let's see if I can get this right, to approve for the substantially separate classrooms to move to 100% capacity on April 5th for 5 days in-person learning, 50% on April 5th for pre-K to 12. Then pre-K to 8 would move to 100% for 5 days in person on April 26th. Further, permission was granted for the superintendent to request a 2-week waiver for pre-K to 5, moving the return date from the April 5th date to April 26th. And then on April 26th would be 100%, 5 days full return for pre-K to 5. And that motion was, that was approved unanimously by the policy subcommittee to recommend favorably to the full committee.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. I entertain a motion now to ratify what was just stated.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second to that? Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Motion was made by Mr. Minicello, is properly seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. We will now read the roll. Chair says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you. Passes. Any other matters before us relative to that agenda item?
No, sir.
We'll now go on to number 6, which is new business. Any new business before us, Mr. Chairman, or Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item of new business. I did send to everybody a resolve that I worked on with school committee member Cynthia Mendez. And a lot of folks have reached out to many of us with their concerns about MCAS testing for last year's sophomores as well as this year's. And so, again, like I said, Mrs. Mendez and I had worked on this resolve together and wanted to bring it to the committee for a vote. I'll read the resolve now. Whereas the COVID-19 remote learning model has disproportionately affected students with learning disabilities, students of lower socioeconomic status, English language learners, and students who identify as minorities, and whereas the social and emotional trauma, both individually and collectively, has yet to be truly realized in the students who have experienced the shutdown of their local school buildings and separations from their peers and supportive adults. And whereas the students of the Commonwealth have recently missed valuable face-to-face instruction opportunities with their teachers and would benefit from focusing on those important instructional opportunities and social-emotional supports. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brockton School Committee rejects the call for students of the class of 2022 and 2023 who missed their 10th grade MCAS testing to be required to make it up during the 2020 and 2021 school year or ever. We demand that those students be held harmless for not taking the MCAS, and their graduation requirements shall be determined by locally controlled voices of the school committee and school administration within the remaining graduation requirements of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Additionally, we reiterate our call for a moratorium on all high-stakes testing for the 2020 to 2021 school year, so all students can benefit from their time being focused on direct instruction.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. I want to thank the Ward 2 School Committee woman, Mrs. Mendez, as well. Very well written. Any questions from members of the committee relative to that matter? Are we entertaining a motion at this time?
Motion to accept.
There's a motion on the floor made by Mr. Rodriguez. There was a second. I didn't hear. Was it you or Tom?
It was me.
I'm sorry. Motion was made by Mr. Rodriguez, properly seconded by Mr. D'Agostino. Now I'll read the roll. Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Menicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. It passes. And again, thank you very much. So we'll execute that and get that signed out tomorrow?
Thank
Sent
you.
out? Okay. Any other new business from Mr. Superintendent, please?
Do you have something? Oh, sorry. Okay, I wanted to make this announcement tonight, just so families know, families of seniors. We will be going forward with graduation weekend on its regular dates. Friday, June 4th, it's graduation weekend, through June 6th. We've reserved those dates. Friday, early evening would be the Huntington and Keith would graduate on the field. That Saturday is the scheduled Brockton High School graduation. We will be going forward with an outdoor at the stadium graduation. What we don't know at this time is the format we have to use. As you know, last year we couldn't do it until August. This year we have a lot more information. Things are loosening up, but the state, the Department of Public Health, the Department of Education has to provide us with the guidance about outdoor gatherings. So, but we are going to keep to those dates, and we're going to do our best to graduate as many kids as we can on the field safely and get as many of their family members in the stands as safely as we can. We know a lot more about things this year than we did last year, so, but we are keeping the dates. The only thing I cannot go over at this time, obviously, is the exact format of the graduations. But again, we're hoping to get as close back to normal as possible. Not only that, we would, right now, it doesn't look like any indoor venues are going to allow for proms. But we will have celebrations for our seniors and our juniors that usually have proms. We'll do something outside, cookouts, things like that. Obviously, would have to be done safely, but Dr. Murray and his team and the senior class advisors and the deans are already planning this, and they'll be working with the senior class advisors at the high school and the leaders of the senior class to put together everything we can do to make sure that, again, it doesn't look like we're going to have to be able to have a normal prom, because just venues are not allowing for those. Our proms are usually about 1,100 to 1,200 students. It sounds like they're only going to allow 150 on indoor, any indoor occasions, but we would be able to have some things outside. And again, we'll wait to see what the guidelines say, but we will be honoring and having celebration ceremonies for our 11th graders and 12th graders that usually do have a prom. And graduation will continue again that weekend. We just don't know the format. And for our 6th and 8th grade students that have those recognition ceremonies, fifth grade students that for elementaries, there's always a recognition ceremony, as well as the 8th grade will have those ceremonies as well. They'll be outside, and again, it'll all be about the guidance and the format, but we want to let parents know that we'll be having those. And then the Edison Academy, their graduation, again, will be on the field. They always graduate later. They'll be having their graduation on July 15th. So that will go forward as well outside. So again, we'll follow the guidelines, but we'll make sure that we do everything we can to make sure, especially our graduating seniors, our juniors, and other students in grades 5 and 8 have their celebrations that they weren't allowed to have last year. And then one final thing, I just want to be clear. Just because the high school is delayed in the guidance, I don't want to be disingenuous. We do have a plan just to make sure. we do have a plan to have 100% full in person. Is that going to be realistic? I mean, let's be honest, there's 4,200 students at Brockton High School and about 500 staff members. I don't know if it's going to ever be realistic before the end of the year to be able to bring back all of those kids at 100%. But we are definitely going to go to 50% on the 5th, and then we'll do whatever else we can to celebrate, and I don't know how, again, I just want to be honest with people. I don't know that we do obviously have a plan to bring students back in, but you're talking about 4,200 students and 500 staff members in one location. We're still not clearly out of the COVID woods, so we will definitely move to 50%. We will definitely have the 3 days of in-person as far as the rotation for Mondays, which, and we'll also do whatever we can for our juniors and seniors that have missed out on things to make sure that they, and we've done that with sports. We're doing it with our music program, our chorus program. We'll do whatever we can, but, if the state comes out and says, 100%, that's usually for schools that have 800 to maybe 1,500 and maybe even close to 2,000. We have 4,200 students and 500 staff here at the high school. So we'll see how things go as we move into April, but we will do everything we can to do the extracurricular activities and follow the guidelines, have graduation when we're supposed to have it, and do whatever that we can to make sure that we make it as close to normal as possible for our high school students. And that's the same for the Edison, the Key Center, the Huntington. They'll all have their celebrations as well, and we'll just have to, again, plan outside venues. So I just wanted to add that to make sure parents know that we have a plan going forward, and we will celebrate those accomplishments that we have not been able to celebrate last year. And we have to do it a little bit of a different way, but we're going to make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. That was important to state. Appreciate that. Any other new business before us? Ms. Azak, please.
I just wanted to take a moment. A few weeks ago, we were at the East Middle School, and Cradles to Crayons had provided us with some supply bags for some of our students. So I just wanted to thank Tom McNeely with our food service and a few people that did help out. Fellow school committee member Tim Sullivan was there to help out, Superintendent Thomas, and we had quite a few people. So Jason Bilodeau was one of our custodians, George Canonis, one of the custodians, Tricia Burnell Anderson, a cafe manager, Lisa Anderson, cafeteria worker, and Vanny Simeone, cafeteria worker. So hopefully I did okay with their names. But again, they helped us hand out probably about 300 supply bags. We will be doing that again at one of the schools. We do have some left over. We're trying to do it COVID safely as far as keeping everyone safe. But, we were able to give out backpacks with supply bags. So again, thank you again to East Middle's Grab and Go for helping us out. The mayor had sent, I believe it was Destiny, had stepped up and helped us out. So thank you. And again, Cradles to Crayons, they're already, in discussions about, backpacks and supplies for the summer, and they just gave us 2 bins full of clothes that will be reaching out to different areas, children's clothes and young adult clothes. So we treasure our partnership with Cradles, so they're absolutely wonderful. So hopefully one of these days we'll be able to invite them back to one of our meetings and really acknowledge all the help that they've given Brockton. So again, we'll probably be at one of the schools in the next few weeks, giving out the rest of the items. But thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. You really lead the charge on that. We truly appreciate that. Thank you. Makes a difference.
Thank
you. Any other new business before us? We'll go on to the next agenda item, which is number 7, executive session, and we do not have any executive session tonight. But before we get into the last one, I'm a dual citizen. I'm an American citizen. I'm also an Irish citizen. So tomorrow's a special day for the Irish, but everybody's Irish on St. Paddy's Day. So have a safe holiday tomorrow. And with that, we'll go on to the last agenda item, which is number 8, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody? This is the easy one, right? Motion was made by Ms. Azak. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Sullivan. We'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim.
Yes.
It passes. Thank you. We are adjourned. Have a good night. Stay safe.